Hi students, today we will be moving on to interesting concepts that we need to know in year 5. Two concepts will be to get the uh, geometric figures of angles. So how do we actually measure angles? So most of the time we'll use a 180 degrees protractor, but today we'll touch on a little bit more on using a 360 degrees protractor and how do we go about reading angles using a protractor like that. Okay, so imagine you have a protractor like this, and as you can see, it's from, where 0 is here, and you go one whole circle, and the end point is actually at 360 degrees. Can you see that? So imagine you have an angle like this. So how would you know actually what is the angle for this? So an estimated size of this angle is actually 50 degrees. Why is it 50 degrees and not 130 degrees? Because again, to recap what we have covered probably in term 1, this is actually an acute angle, and therefore we look at the angle that is less than 90 degrees, which is 50 degrees over here. Okay, moving on. What about this big angle here? Okay, again, we do not look at the 0 degrees, but we look from this side instead. So this is an obtuse angle, so this angle is actually 160 degrees. So now, how do we go about using a 360 degrees protractor to measure angles? And for this case, we are supposed to measure an, should I say, a reflex angle here. So same thing, you just have to adjust your protractor accordingly, move it along. Okay, I hope you can see what I'm doing. So move it along and aim this corner to this point here. So do it slowly. Yep, seems like it's touching the point, but this angle here is not so much on the line yet. So I move a little bit more. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit more to see the accuracy. So I move a little bit, turn a little bit. Oh, too much. Okay, how about here? It is about right. So the small angle here, it is probably close to about 71 degrees. It's in between actually. Maybe it's about 69. Okay. So it's about 69.5. Okay, let's say round to 70 degrees. So if this part is 70 degrees, okay, so let me see. So if this part is 70 degrees, do you agree that this whole angle will be 360 degrees minus 70 degrees, which is 290 degrees? So that the reflex angle here is actually 290 degrees. Is that all right? So that's how you go about using a 360 protractor. Okay, moving on. So in your work, in your student book, you're supposed to find angles. So you do not need a protractor to do so. You're just required to read the angles using the 360 degrees protractor. So bear in mind there are two information that you need to read. First is the shaded part, which is this part here. So what's the angle for the shaded part? And then the clear part will be this angle here. So from here to here. So for this case, the shaded part is a acute angle, and the reflex angle is over here. And then again, this is the shaded part. The unshaded part is over here for the second question. The third question is the shaded part is here, and the clear part is over here. So get your readings and put down your answers accordingly. Okay, next part to this activity will be you're required to shade an angle. Okay, just find the 80 degrees angle. Okay, so from here, 80 degrees angle is here. So use your ruler to join from this point to this point and draw it accurately. And bear in mind, they say shade it. So shade it lightly to tell me where will the sector be located. Okay, for 80 degrees, 30 degrees, and 20 degrees. Is that clear? Some of you may want to measure on this side, on the left side. I'll leave it to you. So there may be different answers. Okay. Moving on to the next part is how do we go about drawing circles. So formally you only learn the circle formulas in year 8, but from now until then you will actually get to know more about the concepts on circle. So this YouTube video is actually produced by some other people. I thought it's quite a good video to teach you how to use the compass to draw accurate circles. So do watch the video. I thought it's a wonderful skill that you should know by now. Okay, so some of the terminology very important. So first and foremost, we need to understand, okay, the line that cuts across to the middle part of the circle, this line is called the diameter, which is stated over here. And then of course the middle point, the center point in the circle, and then we stretch across to the side of the circle, this is actually known as the radius. And of course, another terminology that you need to know eventually is, instead of calling this a perimeter of a circle, this is actually known as the circumference of the circle. Okay, when you were born as a baby, one of the things that the nurse would do is to measure the circumference of your head. Okay, so that's how they use the measuring tape to measure the circumference of the head. Okay, so just bear that in mind. That's the terminology that you need to know. Okay, moving on. So you are required to draw a 3 cm radius. Okay, so do refer to the video. It's quite difficult for me to do a live demonstration, without the necessary technology. So use that video that I've recommended earlier on. Learn how to draw a 3 cm radius circle. So assuming you measure using the protractor, you measure 3 cm, and then from there you draw a circle. You may look something like this. And then moving on to part 7, they say draw the lines to mark the diameter and the radius of the circle. So just need to draw the line, okay, from the center point to the side of the circle. That's called the radius. Okay, I'm sure for those who have drawn the picture, you realize that the center point is actually a point that you have put on the sharp end of the compass that you have put on the paper. Usually you leave a hole on the paper because the pointed end is actually very sharp. Okay, radius. And how do you draw a diameter? Again, just link both sides of the circle, and we cut across. Okay, this is actually known as the diameter, and you must always cut through the center point. You understand? That's very important. And remember the side, the whole thing here, we don't call it the perimeter of the circle, we call it the circumference. So do likewise for the next one, a 35 mm radius. Okay, draw the circle nicely and then label them accordingly. Got it? So that's the end of our lesson. So complete the tasks in the book. There will not be a requirement for you to complete MyEd Online. Just need to complete this the work on the 2 pages. Okay, bye.